Hey guys, this is Christiana with Parks and Recreation Fitness. Today I'm going to take you through a series of at-home workouts. We're going to start with a nice stretching routine. It's going to be full body that can warm you up for the following workouts to come. First we're going to have our feet wide, wider than hip width. We're going to hinge at those hips. This is going to be a hamstring stretch, so we're going to stretch the back of those legs. We're going to reach all the way down as far as you can. If you can't touch the ground, I don't want you to push yourself and hurt yourself. Let your body take you as far as it is until you feel a pull in the back of those legs. We're going to hold for about 10 to 12 seconds. After that, we'll come on up, and then we're going to drop down to either side, whichever you want to start with. If you can grab your foot, go ahead and grab that foot. If not, reach as far down that ankle as possible. If you can go past your foot and have your hands on the ground, you could do that also. Again, we're going to hold these for about 10 to 12 seconds. After, we're going to come back up. Make sure you're switching sides so we're all evenly stretched out. We're going to reach again as far down that ankle onto that foot as we can. Next, we're going to come into a standing quad stretch. So we're going to pull that foot into the hand on the same side. Catch your balance. Try to stare at something not moving. And you're going to keep that knee in tight and pull back as far as you can. If you can't grab your foot, you can grab your ankle, the back of your shoe, something to be able to pull that quad all the way back. We're going to switch sides, do the same thing. Keep that knee in tight onto your next one and slightly pull back. Again, make sure you're breathing through this whole thing. It should be about 5 breaths or equivalent to 10 to 12 seconds. Our next lower body stretch is we're going to go into a calf stretch, and I'll show you 2 ways to do this. Put your foot about 6 inches in front of the other, and you're going to reach. Again, if you can't reach your foot, that's okay. Just reach as far as possible until you feel a pull in the back of that leg. And we're going to switch. The next way to do this is you could actually use a wall or a curb or anything you can put that foot up against. You're going to come against the wall here. Place your foot into the wall and lean into those toes just a little bit. And you'll feel that pull down the back of this leg again. And we can switch sides. After that, we're going to go into some upper body stretching. This first one, you're going to take this arm and pull across your body. Make sure we're not actually pushing on the elbow. You want to be slightly above it and give a little tug to your arm so you can feel a pull down the top of this arm. After that, we'll switch and we'll go back across. Making sure that hand isn't on that elbow, we're going to pull across again. Whatever's comfortable, you could use your hand. You could use your forearm, whichever you prefer. Now we're going to come over top, resting that hand on your back slightly. You're going to pull with your opposite hand, pulling that elbow back just a little bit. And we'll switch. Same thing, rest that hand on your back and give a little tug towards the back. Finally, we're going to stretch out that lower back. I want you to relax, loosen up. You're going to let your body, you're going to hinge at your hips and just let your body take you as far as you can go. Make sure your feet are hip width apart, and then you can go ahead and grab your elbows slightly and rock into the balls of your feet. You want to be super relaxed. This is going to stretch out the bottom of your back and really just loosen you up so we can get started. Again, make sure you're holding your stretches for either 5 breaths or 10 to 12 seconds, whichever you prefer. Make sure you're breathing throughout the whole thing, and that's it for stretching. Next up is going to be an upper body video. We're going to get started with our upper body workout. I have a couple props, but nothing you won't have in your house. Right here I have a mat for you. You could use a rug, a towel, anything of that nature. I also have a chair which I'll be doing some exercises on. You can use a chair, a bench, even like a sidewalk curb, whichever you prefer. And then these they're called gliders. If you have them, great. If not, you can also use paper plates. If it's on carpet, they'll slide on that. If you're on a hard wood floor or a tile floor, something like that, you could actually put socks on your hands or even just a towel, and they'll also glide with you. So the first exercise I'm going to have you do, we're actually going to start in a high plank. This is going to be a little bit of shoulder stability, and we're going to go into a row, which is going to work that upper back. So we're going to place our hands directly below our shoulders, hop up into that high plank, and you're going to pull up, keeping that elbow tight against your body, and we'll alternate. Next up, I'm going to grab my gliders. Like I said, you could use paper plates on carpet, you could put socks on your hands, you could use a towel or something like that on a harder surface. So again, we're going to put these on our hands. Starting in that high plank, hands directly below your shoulders. And you're going to reach out and pull it back in. You're going to reach out again, pull it back in, and we can also go side to side. And we'll alternate like that. You could do them all going forward for a set or all out for a set. For most of my exercises, you should be doing about, I'd say 3 sets of 10. Make sure you have a 30-second rest in between. Give your body a little break. Next up, I'm going to go into my chair. In a previous video, I also showed this exercise. It's great for the back of that arm. It is going to be a tricep dip. I'll show you 2 different ways to do this. You can start with those legs bent, keeping those elbows in tight. You're going to drop all the way down and push all the way back up. For a little bit more intermediate, you can straighten those legs out. Same thing, keep those elbows in tight. We're going to go down and back up. After that, we're going to go back onto our mat. Again, I'm going to go into a high plank position. Stacking those hands under those shoulders, come up, and we're actually going to, I like to call them walking planks. You're going to walk down to those elbows and push straight back up. And you can alternate. If you pushed up with your right side, you'll push up with your left side the next time. And we'll go back down and back up. Next, I'm going to go into, it's called a bird dog. Looks kind of like a bird dog when you do it. We'll be on our hands and knees. Stack those hands directly below your shoulders. You're going to extend your opposite arm to your opposite leg. And we're going to come back in. And we're just going to alternate. It shouldn't be really fast-paced. You want to make sure you're squeezing your core and your belly button tight when you're doing these. And it's actually going to work that lower back area. And we'll alternate through those. That is it for my upper body section. Stay tuned for my lower body workout. Okay, and now we're going to get started with our lower body exercises. I have this weighted stick here. It's only 4 pounds. Equivalent to that, you could use a broomstick, something like that. It does not need to have any weight. It's just going to be more for posture and keeping you in line. Make sure when we are going through these exercises in any of my videos, we continue to breathe. I know I'm going a little bit quick, and you guys are going to have to take your time to go into those 3 sets of 10 or something like that. So make sure you breathe through them and take that 30-second break to catch your breath. We don't want to fatigue your muscles. We're going to put your broomstick, whatever you have long enough that you can place gently on your shoulders, and we are going to go into just a squat. Having this stick is going to pull your chest out, putting you in a good posture position. I like to point my toes slightly out and be a little bit wider than shoulder width apart, and we're going to drop all the way down and all the way back up. Try not to lock out those knees at the end and extend them. We want to have soft knees the whole time, just about anything we do with lower body. And we'll go all the way down and all the way back up. Following that, we're going to bring our feet in just a little bit closer, leaving that stick on your shoulders. And we're going to do what I like to call a good morning. I like to keep a little bit, not a bend in my knee, but a soft knee. And we're going to hinge at those hips, really stretching all the way down as far as your body's going to let you go. And come all the way back up. Stretch as far as you can go. And this stick is good to keep you in line and don't let your chin fall down. We want to keep a neutral spine this whole time. Next, we're going to go into a glute exercise. You may have seen in some of our earlier videos we did a standard glute bridge. I'm going to go into just something a little bit more advanced. It's going to be a single leg glute bridge. So we're going to stack our feet right behind our hips. Lay back. You want to have your hands straight down on the mat. We're going to straighten whichever leg. We're going to use both, so however you want to start. And you're going to throw those hips up. Come all the way back down. If you need to touch slightly, you can. And then we're going to come straight back up. Then you'll come to the other side. You can alternate, or you can go, I like to do 10 on one side, 10 on the other. We're going to straighten that leg out, and we're going to throw those hips forward or towards the ceiling. And back down. And forward again. And back down. Next, I'm going to use my fun gliders again. Like I said earlier, if you are on carpet, you could use something like paper plates. If you're on a hard surface, you could use socks, you could use a towel, just something that's going to glide on the ground. I need 2 of them for this exercise. I'm going to place my heels on them. This is actually going to be equivalent to a hamstring curl. I'm going to lay back, extending those legs out, and I'm going to lift my hips, pulling my heels towards the back of me. And straight out, and all the way in. I like to keep my hips up the whole time. You don't want to keep dropping back to the ground. You want it to be almost steady when you're trying to do those 10 reps. So make sure you really breathe through those so you don't start cramping up or anything like that. Next up, I'm going to give you a core video. We are going to get started with our core workout. As you can see through this progression of core, it kind of goes hand in hand. I'll give you some beginner and intermediate choices to choose from, as well as just some comfort options. The first thing we're going to start with is just a V-sit hold. You're not going to move. You're just going to hold your V-sit. So your legs are going to be slightly bent in that 90-degree angle. Shoulders are going to be back, and you want to try to keep your hands up for as long as possible. If you need to catch your balance, put them back down, and then right back up. For core, I like to do it more for time rather than reps. So when watching this, I would recommend maybe 2 sets of 20 seconds or 3 sets of 30 seconds, however it makes you feel and however strong your core is. The next thing we're going to do, super similar to the V-sit hold, except now we're going to move those legs in and out. To start, you can place those hands on the ground for a bit of balance. Start with those legs up, just like your V-sit hold. We're going to come straight out, and we're going to crunch back in. Straight out and crunch back in. For a more advanced option, or even if you're doing these for a couple weeks and you notice you're starting to get a little bit better, try to keep those hands off the ground. We're going to go straight out and back in. I like to leave my hands here just so I know how far in to pull my heels. It helps me just a little bit. Next, I know if you're following along with a lot of my videos, we've done a lot of planks and a lot of plank variations. We're going to go into what I call a T-plank. So we are going to lay on our side. We'll start with an elbow variation. Stack those feet on top of each other. And we're going to open up like a T. And you're just going to hold that for however long, 20, maybe 30 seconds. Make sure you switch sides as well. If you do one side of your body, you always need to do the other. The next option I can give you is we're going to place that hand stacked straight below our shoulder. Stack those feet again. Push up into that side plank and open up to your T position. With core, it's really important. It can be really hard not to breathe while you're doing it. So I know I keep saying it, but it's super important when you're doing these exercises to keep those breaths flowing slow and steady throughout your workout. Next, we're going to go into a Russian twist. There's a lot of myths about crossing your feet or not crossing your feet. If you do cross one on top of the other, then you must cross the other one on top of the other. So I'm going to show you without my feet crossed. Just like that V-sit hold, we're gonna lift those legs up and we're going to touch the ground on either side. You can lock your hands, whichever you prefer. We'll touch, follow with our head all the way to the other side, and we're gonna touch again. So when you're doing these, it shouldn't be quick like this and you're just turning. You actually wanna follow, reach a little bit, and follow and reach the other side. Now that I have finished core, next I am going to come with a HIIT workout, which stands for high intensity interval training. We are going to get started with our HIIT routine, which stands for high intensity interval training. This is a quick and effective way to get that heart rate up, all while building muscle, endurance, and strength at the same time. I'm going to give you a few exercises. Again, make sure you breathe, especially when you're doing high intensity. You're going to be going, going, going. It's important to make sure you're breathing while you're doing it. We're going to start with just a standard jumping jack. I think this is a good way to get the body super warmed up and to go into the next exercise. So keeping soft knees again, and we're just going to come out and back together. Touch those hands at the top. I would say for a HIIT workout, do every exercise for about a minute, maybe 45 seconds to a minute. And when you're doing it, you're going to do a whole round. So all the exercises I show, you'll do each one for about a minute, rest, and then do a whole nother round of them. Next, we're going to go into a squat jack, almost like a jump squat, but a little less pressure on those knees. And we're going to jump out. We're going to squat and touch and come back together. So when you squat down, try to get as close to the ground as possible. If you can touch it, great. If you can't, that's okay too. Next exercise, we are going to go into mountain climbers. Again, in that high plank, we're going to start. If you're not comfortable going quick through mountain climbers, you can actually do them one at a time, just bringing those knees in. If you're a little bit more advanced and comfortable, you can actually run through those mountain climbers. After that, we're going to go into a little bit of core. We're going to do flutter and scissor kicks. So the first one, we're going to lay on our back, keeping those feet 6 inches off the ground. This is called a flutter, and we'll do this for a minute. After that, we'll go into a scissor, and you're going to cross over and underneath, making sure you're keeping those feet 6 inches off the ground. I also like to point my toes back towards me when I'm doing them. That is it for our HIIT workout. Remember, when you're doing HIIT, continue to breathe and do it as a whole round of exercises. Next up, I'm going to give you a cool down because I'm also tired, so we'll make sure you catch that breath and you can be done for the day. I am going to get you guys started on this cool down. Make sure we're breathing. We should hold these for about 5 breaths. If you don't want to necessarily count from 10 to 12, it's important in your cool down to bring that heart rate down. So big, deep breaths is the best way to do that. We're going to interlock those hands, feet a little bit more than shoulder width apart, and we're going to push all the way out. We're going to come up over our head, drop that head back. Now we're going to go side to side, so we're going to pull. You should feel a slight pull down the side of your body, come back to neutral. We'll go to the other side, and we're going to pull, pull, pull. We're going to drop down behind our back, clasp those hands together again, drop that head back and pull those shoulders together. That's going to give you a good chest opener. After that, we're going to hinge at those hips, and we're going to drop all the way forward. Now remember, I'm just walking you through these exercises, so make sure you're taking your time and doing them completely. That is it for this series. Stay tuned for more Parks and Recreation Fitness. Thanks for following along.